Wonderful. So welcome to everyone again. We are officially recording and we're underway. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. This particular recording, this particular call is about the piezoelectric crystals in Sedona, and actually piezoelectric crystals in general, the crystalline realm, and the sacred vortexes in Sedona. And of course, I want to talk to you about Sedona, Sister Sedona, the consciousness of Sedona. And I want to share with you some of the incredible insights and awarenesses I've received as gifts since I've been here. So incredible. And I want to invite a lot of you, or any of you, all of you who are interested to our retreat as well. If you stick around to the end, I promise you, you will be benefiting from a gift worth over $700, actually $800, $795. For those of you who stick around, I'll show you how you can get this incredible gift that's valued at almost $800. And of course, I'll be inviting you to join me on the retreat as we get towards the end, and I'll open up for questions as well. So stick around. We're going to cover so much. You're going to absolutely love it. Great content here about these sacred vortexes, the consciousness of Sedona, and the piezoelectric crystals, which are here, located here in Sedona, and in general, the crystalline realm. And of course, I'll be talking to you about the sacred Sedona retreat. So here we go. Let's get underway. First, for those of you who might not know me, some of you may not know me because with the gifted calls and the gifted events like this, sometimes we get new people tuning in. My name is Lori Ann Spagna, and I've been doing this kind of work for over 20 years. Really, my true divine mission and purpose was initially, I was just so focused on helping animals in the animal kingdom. I really wanted to improve life on earth for animals. And I didn't understand back then that animals include humans. We are of the animal kingdom. And just through my love for animals and my real sincere desire to be of service and contribution to improve the world for all animals, I started just naturally finding my way into these spiritual gifts, which we all do have. And really, over the course of the last 20 years, I started writing books about it. So I have some best-selling books on Amazon. And I just developed more and more of my gifts as a spiritual teacher, healer, ascension guide, intuitive. More developed from that. I started working with the DNA and doing DNA activations. And as that continued to develop, I became and developed my ability to be a channel and work with multidimensional realms in the non-physical world more and more. And the consciousness of the animal kingdom, of course, the consciousness of so many realms of dimensional realms in the non-physical, angels, guides, masters, teachers, loved ones in the non-physical, loved ones who have crossed over and transitioned. And that also includes, ascended masters who once were in physical form, who now are mostly operating from non-physical form for their service to humanity. And it shifted even more to just helping with the ascension of humanity. And as I developed that more and more, I connected more with my own star family races. So I came to know myself as a starseed, which many of you are, and overall a light worker. And if you don't know what that is, just stick around. You wake up to this stuff more and more. If you're new to it, you're welcome here. But I've been doing this work now for 20 years, working with humans and animals to assist all of humanity on this ascension journey with channeled ascension guidance, intuition, energy healing, animal communication and telepathy. And overall, I love doing DNA activations and providing sacred retreats for people to awaken this all within ourselves, people and animals. So that's who I am in a nutshell. You can find tons of stuff about me on YouTube and Amazon, Facebook. So with that said, I just want to welcome you all here and help you to let you know that you're in the right place. If you're a person who wants to awaken and expand your consciousness, activate more of your core pillar, which is the light body within you that you are, realign your entire energy field, which we call your morphogenetic field, to divine source, infinite love, infinite light, infinite consciousness, infinite awareness, infinite peace. It's all within us. And we do this through realigning ourselves and illuminating our light bodies and up-leveling our awareness and our overall frequency to align with Divine Source. So that's what this is all about. That's what the Sacred Retreat is about, and that's what we're going to be discussing today largely as we go into this topic area of sacred vortexes, the sacred vortexes of Sedona, and the piezoelectric crystals of Sedona. I just want to say something. When I first came to Sedona, I wanted to share a brief story. I got here after traveling across country for the better part of the 2020 year. So while most people were in lockdown, I was actually traveling across country, and I was driving cross country. That's when I went into South Dakota, and I went, basically around across the whole country. When I landed here in Sedona, was about maybe 8 months later after traveling for about 8 months. And one of the first things I did was I just got myself into some of the sacred rocks, to lay on the rocks in the ground of Sedona and say to her as a consciousness, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for the invitation and the call. Because I did feel a calling. A lot of light workers, it's a very common theme that light workers feel a calling or sense a calling or hear a calling to Sedona. And this is one of the most amazing things that Sacred Sedona offers, is she is a place as a location on earth to assist light workers in the awakening process, to assist all beings in the healing journey, and to also amplify and accelerate our healing process and amplify and accelerate our awakening process. And Sedona also amplifies and awakens our gifts within us. So when that happened and I came to Sedona and I sort of went to the rocks and just laid on them, I started having some spontaneous, I would call them spontaneous channeling from a consciousness that I identify as Sister Sedona. In Sister Sedona, which, by the way, if you don't know, the city of Sedona was named after a being, a woman whose name was Sedona, and she died here. And so it was this location was named after her. But in any case, I immediately had this channeling, and she said, I called you here. She said, I called you here. I will teach you. I will teach you how to be here. I will show you what you need to know to survive and thrive here and to do well. She said, I called you here because I recognized your work from afar. I recognized what you were doing. And I wanted you to come here so that I could help support you in your work, in your service to humanity, so I could help support you in what you're doing and amplify your gifts and also assist you as you assist others. It was incredible what she was saying. And I mean, I'm almost, I'm just simplifying it here. But what she also told me was what I would need to do to deal with the vortex energies, to work with the energies here, the vortexes, which we'll be discussing, and how to utilize them for the benefit of myself and all others that I would engage with. It was really incredible. And since then, a lot of the channeling, for anyone who's been on my channeling calls, or any of the impromptu healing calls or the group healing events, you've experienced some of that, or the 5-week support calls that we do, Ascension support calls. Those are private group calls that you can enroll in. You've heard some of that. All right, but let's get started. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the frequency of crystals, which some of you may know, especially if you've joined me on some of my other retreats. For example, the retreat I've done in Arkansas for the past few years, and then prior to that, the dolphin retreats that I've done, we've worked with the crystals. But we'll talk about it today. We'll talk about the consciousness of crystals, the divine mission and purpose, sacred purpose of crystals in the crystalline realm. And then we're going to specifically speak about the piezoelectric crystals of Sedona, what their purpose is. You'll understand piezoelectricity, not from a scientific approach, but from a layman's approach. Why it's so important and so relevant for us as awakening beings on our ascension journey. And you'll understand the link between crystals and your third eye, which is also your pineal gland, your pituitary gland. And that is the link to your psychic gifts, talents, and abilities. You'll also understand the link between piezoelectric crystals and the third eye activations, as well as the link between piezoelectric crystals and the DNA activations. This includes your animals too, by the way. And also the link between piezoelectric crystals and your chakra centers, the energy centers, which make up, really are the fundamental building blocks of what we call your core pillar. Your core pillar is incredibly important. Remember, I referenced that earlier. That's what really sustains your light body, and it's what your entire morphogenetic field is built upon and around in a sense, in the physical world. So we'll get into this. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the vortexes. What is a vortex? How does it work? What the locations of sacred vortexes are, and of course, Sedona is one of them. So we'll talk about the sacred vortexes of Sedona and how the sacred vortex energy helps us. And also, we'll get past that whole skepticism, like is it real, or what is the whole deal around Gaia's gift, Sedona as Gaia's gift. And then I want to talk to you, of course, about the sacred Sedona retreat, and we'll do some Q&A at the very end. And remember, if you stick around to the very end, you will have an opportunity to get a free gift of about $800, $795. Plus, if you're joining us for the sacred retreat, you will find a way to save 50% on bringing a friend. So stay with me. I'll tell you all about that. So let's get underway. And by the way, just so you know, for those people, this is not a mainstream presentation on crystals. This is a very fifth dimensional consciousness presentation. So for anyone who is new or who is not as advanced necessarily, don't worry. You just stay with it, because so much of how we're learning in the new paradigm is energetic vibration. So when you participate, what happens is your vibratory state of consciousness shifts and aligns to the highest frequency of the group. And that's doing service for you as an individual. So even if your brain doesn't understand it or finds it hard to follow, that's okay. That's old left brain stuff. Allow yourself to be here, because change happens by participation without the brain necessarily always understanding it. And by the way, this is one of those things that these crystals help us with. So first, let's get into this, the frequency of crystals. So crystals are essentially a form of crystallized light. They take light from the Son of God, and they combine it with the frequency vibration, the purest frequency, the purest vibration known in the physical world, which is a frequency of love. And essentially, this frequency of light and frequency of love coagulate in terms of energetic vibration and solidify in a crystal. And this is basically what we refer to as the crystalline consciousness. Now, the crystalline consciousness is basically a frequency of love. It is the purest frequency in the physical world. That's what's held inside of a crystal. Now, all crystals are conscious living beings. We don't think of that. Most humans are just barely beginning to think of a plant as conscious, and that is a living being that grows. There's lots of humans out there who still don't understand that animals are conscious, which to me is a really strange thing. Even if I hear a presentation from what I call like preceders, people who are teachers out there who have written books and they're public speakers, and they say things like animals are not as intelligent as us. And I think these people are clueless. They don't understand that animals are super conscious. Well, so are crystals. So are plants. So is Mother Earth Gaia. The other day, I was at a hotel swimming here in Sedona, enjoying the pool, and I ran into some people and they were completely unaware of the concept of Mother Earth being a conscious being. And I get that, but so if you don't get that, like the crystals as conscious, that's maybe a little too far out there, but it's actually true. So when we're interacting with a crystal, it is a conscious living being. And all crystals have a divine mission and purpose. So every individual crystal, all different types of crystals have missions and purposes. And all crystals store recorded information and energy. We know this is true, for example, about a tree. If any geologist knows that if you look at different rocks and minerals, they can get information about the history that that rock or mineral has within it. Same thing if you look at the lines of a tree, it's the same concept. Crystals have that as well. All crystals are also part of a greater unified network known as the crystalline realm. Right? The crystalline realm is a realm of consciousness which we identify as crystals. Crystals are also time capsules in this sense. They're time capsules of information. And so we don't always think of it as they're time capsules both from the past, which we could link through past timelines, and this stuff is kind of out there for some people, but generally not for our community, right? Because somewhere in time there was an Atlantean timeline, a Lemurian timeline. We typically are pretty familiar with that in our progressed Lightworker community. Those are timelines which modern history does not identify or track. It's not in any of our current history books. But when you learn from the crystals, when you learn how to communicate and interact with the crystals, you learn about those timelines. In other words, points in history, which are not recorded in modern day texts or not taught in school systems, in our current schooling. But nonetheless, those are period of history that the crystals store up records and information on. And same is true as time, that they are time capsules from the future. They literally are beings from the future who have already learned how to traverse time and go back in time. They come into our now time from the future and embed these crystals with information, knowledge, and energy so that we can benefit. So by learning from these crystals, and these people in the future, we don't necessarily call them people, we could call them our star family races. And we could also identify them as future versions of us, who we evolve into. And for me, I know they're my star family lineage. Many of you know them too. Some of you are maybe entirely new to this concept. That's okay. Just be open-minded, have an open mind. You don't have to believe it if you don't know, but this is what we're here for, to learn about very progressive information. So the divine mission and purpose of crystals is to help us remember this stuff, because again, the bulk of humanity has no knowledge of this, the bulk of humanity. If you already identify as a lightworker, as a starseed, if you're already identifying as an intuitive, an empath, an extrasensory being, if you're already identifying as any form of lightworker or member of the indigo family tribes, you already know this to some degree or another, whoever you are, but so many humans don't know it yet. And so this is why these crystals have this purpose, to help us remember, because most humans have no idea about it. As I said earlier, they don't even know that Mother Earth is a conscious being. They're just starting to wake up to the idea that animals are sentient, conscious beings. They're just starting to wake up to the idea that plants are sentient and have information. There's a whole new growing group of individuals starting to do plant music. We're starting to realize that consciousness is in everything, everywhere. And the more progressed we are, the more we know it. The more we've learned to work with these crystals, the more we're awakening and we're remembering. And this is the divine mission of all crystals and the entire crystalline realm. They also help us heal, of course, and healing can be physical, can be emotional, can be mental, can be energetic, can be spiritual, of course. Healing is not just something we do on the physical. We don't just heal something that we've broken a bone or, gotten some kind of disease. Healing happens on all levels and layers of our being and throughout the entire morphogenetic field, as I spoke about earlier. So anywhere where we're not living in our ideal and optimal states of health, well-being, happiness, joy, love, abundance, prosperity, wealth, just living our best lives, anywhere where we're not living that way is an opportunity for us to heal. And healing is a way of resolving issues and remembering who we really are, realigning with the divinity that is within us. So the divine mission and purpose of crystals includes that. I'm going to take a sip of water if you could just pause with me for a second. Okay, thanks. So one of the other amazing things about crystals is that they help us to activate our psychic centers. So for a lot of people on planet Earth, psychic is still a very bad word. If you're listening to me, chances are that's not where you're at. And most of the people in my community, we already are really awake and aware to these concepts. But if you're new, I will say that word psychic has a really bad word. It's just misunderstood. To me, it's our inner divine knowing and activating more of our pineal gland and our pituitary gland. Those are master glands in the center of our brain that help us see and perceive things that are way beyond our known physical world. So people who don't have these centers activated or open, they don't see or perceive things. And that's why they perceive all of this stuff to be woo-woo or crazy or out there or not real. Well, that's part of why, right? Because they've also largely been lied to that this stuff isn't real. And the mass media does that, and we could go on and on, but that's irrelevant at the moment. What's more important is to understand that the crystals are here to help us reawaken this. So crystals are excellent and outstanding tools once we learn how to use them and work with them in a conscious way to help us activate our third eye. They also do this for all of our energy centers, which we know as our chakras, the various energy centers of the body, and also even beyond the body, because our chakras are not limited to our physical body. Remember, our morphogenetic field is much more than just our physical body, and therefore we have chakras outside of and beyond the physical body, way more than the 7 or even 8 that most people are aware of or that we typically work with. And of course, the dormant DNA. So the dormant DNA, which is a whole other conversation, right? We have way more than 12 strands, and the first 2 strands we know are pretty corrupted and messed up. They have all kinds of stuff like disease and fear-based beliefs and ancestral crap that we took on from our ancestors about, what runs in our family and, what illnesses and diseases our ancestors carried that we think we're stuck with, our genetics. And of course, none of that has to be true. But the whole point is that once we start working with these crystals, they help us to remember and to clear, heal, and resolve this stuff. And of course, activate and clear and resolve stuff in our dormant DNA. So we have to learn how to work with the crystals in order for us to use and apply the gifts that they have. But this is their divine mission. And they help us to restore divine consciousness, which can also be called the Christ consciousness. And if you're looking at the slide right now, you see how I spelled it, C-R-Y-S-T, but it does sound vaguely familiar if you are new to this, right? And that's because many ascended masters achieved Christ consciousness, not necessarily related to a religion at all, necessarily. Buddha achieved Christ consciousness. And of course, a being we know, an ascended master as Jesus, achieved Christ consciousness. This kind of consciousness, as I referred to earlier, is a frequency of love that is stored within the crystalline realm. And that's part of what their divine mission is, to help us to achieve Christ consciousness as well, which is part of the Ascension journey. And of course, they also help us realign with Mother Earth, Gaia. Mother Earth's name in the higher realms, as we know her as a living being, is Gaia or Gaia Sophia. And her trajectory is an ascension trajectory in which all beings are restored to our remembrance. So if you're on this call, chances are you're feeling the calling to that awakening. And the crystals are here to help. They're here to help Mother Earth as well, because they are embedded within Mother Earth, of course. And by being embedded within Mother Earth, they are raising the frequency of Mother Earth by bringing and embedding that love into the physical embodiment of Earth herself. So they're helping us in this way as well. This is a lot of mission and purpose for crystals, right? They're helping us to reconnect, all of us, in our unity consciousness. And they're in an underground crystalline network where we can all tap into that network and work with it. And if you're familiar with the term grid worker, many of you are. Those of us who come, anyone who's been on my retreat, we learn how to do grid work. My retreat in Arkansas, and you will know this also in Sedona. When you come on the retreat in Sedona, we learn about grids and working with the grids of the earth and the crystals, how they're all forming an internal crystalline grid network. All of this is designed to up-level the frequency of Earth and the vibration of Earth to the new fifth dimensional frequency. We refer to it as the fifth dimensional frequency, or we can also refer to it as the new paradigm. It is a new grid system, an entirely new system inside of Earth that is accessible by those who are vibrationally compatible with it. So this is part of why it's so important for us to work with crystals and understand their consciousness. They also can form and do form shields of so-called protection or frequencies to help us up level. These shields really assist as we merge and more fully align with our galactic brothers and sisters or star family races. And if you remember, for those of you who were on at the earlier part of the call, before we officially started, we were talking about the Palladian skies. And that is part of a great example of the crystals helping us on this entire ascension process. That's really what their mission is. All right, I hope that makes sense to everybody. It's a lot of mission right there, a lot of purpose. All right, so in terms of the piezoelectric crystals in Arkansas, now this image, assuming you can see the slides and you're on the video presentation, this is a great image of the rock. So you can actually see the red rock of Arizona here. And you go in there and you can see within the rock are all these crystals. But this is a great example of what piezoelectric crystals look like. By the way, just about every crystal that's identified as a quartz crystal is piezoelectric. These are the ones that are particularly unique to the red rocks of Sedona, which are pictured here. So we're going to get into what the piezoelectric crystals are, what that means. But this is a great image, if you can see this, of what they look like in Sedona. And these crystals are contained in just about all of the red rock formations. When I'm out walking my dog, they're all over the ground, but they're just so teeny. Any little clump of rock, you pick it up, you can see all these crystals. They're everywhere, but they're just so embedded in red rock. So they don't look this pure exactly when you're just walking down the street, but they're everywhere. So what is piezoelectricity? Piezoelectricity is a scientifically valid truth, right? It's been validated scientifically. We tend to like that in our physical world. When science validates it, therefore it must be real. But it was discovered by French physicists named Jacques and Pierre Curie in 1880. This is in, Wikipedia. You could even search piezoelectricity. It's the electric charge that basically accumulates in certain solid materials when applied pressure happens, like a form of pressure or stress happens, and then electricity is a result from that applied pressure. It could be heat or some form of pressure or heat, and it creates electricity. Like, we could be using this globally. It's clean electricity. Anyway, that's a separate conversation. But this kind of electricity creates a direct result of sort of an activating of something that's just dormant. And of course, we know quartz crystals are in every computer. You can't have a computer, as far as we know, without quartz crystals. They're in every watch, like modern watches, and even really old watches, like some of the oldest watch companies. So they're what your watch runs on. Think about this for a second. If they're running a watch, isn't that an exact example of a timekeeper, a record of time? The crystal, in this case, just the case of a crystal in a watch, an old quartz watch, is helping keep a record of time. It's so obvious, right? And so the same is true of these crystals that are in Earth, which we talked about the divine mission, right? And how they can activate and awaken. Same is true of the crystals in computers. They're keeping records of all your information that's stored in your computer, whatever the various type of computer is. So they can help activate. With this piezoelectricity, it can activate dormant parts of our physical, emotional, mental, energetic, and spiritual being. Let's get into this a little more. So these crystals, as we've talked about, they can help activate our third eye, which is our pineal gland, and our pituitary gland, which is the storehouse of our super psychic gifts, right? That pineal gland and pituitary gland, right? If you look at this imagery, which I've just put on for those of you on the video portion, this is just our third eye, right? This is just our master gland in the center of the brain, which is housed in an area called the Cave of Brahma, right? This is a scientific image I'm showing. So I don't know why the old paradigm likes to discredit psychic potential when it's scientifically valid at this point. Well, I know why. It's because they don't know. They're unconscious of it. But these glands are real. They're dormant in the average person because they haven't meditated, because they've been drinking things like fluoride in their water, falsely told that it actually helps their teeth, which it doesn't. What it does is shut down the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, or eating genetically modified foods or artificial foods, which also shuts these master glands down. All of our psychic potential gets shut down. What does the word shut down mean? Dormant. Now, if we go back to what piezoelectricity does, when we apply a certain kind of pressure and a certain kind of heat, right? It can activate and awaken dormant aspects. Well, this is what's going on in the third eye. Our third eye has been shut down from the food we've eaten, the water we've drank, the television we've watched, the technology we've used, the way we've lived on planet Earth, what we've believed and what we've perceived has been dormant and asleep. The mission of crystals as piezoelectric crystals is to help us activate and awaken. Once these master glands in the brain, pineal gland and pituitary gland, master glands get awakened, that starts to activate all of in the earliest stage, our psychic potential, which is unlimited. We don't have a limit to this. We have no limit to this. And until science can find a limit, which it can't because it's barely even begun to explore this, we know it's unlimited because that is the spiritual aspect. God is unlimited, source, creator, love, unlimited, omnipotent, omnipresent, right? So how do they do this? This is what we're talking about. How do these piezoelectric crystals activate the third eye? Using these piezoelectric crystals, which are the quartz crystals in the earth that we learn how to utilize in a conscious process of using the natural electricity within the crystals, the records that are stored within them, we can activate and awaken what's dormant within us. And using this kind of applied, we can call it technology, but it's not like old school technology. It's new paradigm way of working with the crystals. We can awaken that which has been dormant within us. And that includes, once again, our third eye and other areas of our dormant capacities, our psychic potential, our empathic gifts, our intuitive gifts, our various other our dormant DNA, and our various other latent dormant potentials, which we could call superhuman abilities. Same thing is true for the chakra centers, right? These are our 7 major chakra centers in the physical known world, in the physical body, right? From root to sacral to solar plexus to heart to throat to third eye to crown chakra. But that is just the beginning. Even many spiritual healers and people who work with crystals are still just working with those 7 chakras. And there are way more than those 7 chakra centers, but all of those can easily get activated. What happens in these chakra centers is that we store up energy in there, right? We're walking around Earth and somebody sends an insult to us and threatens us, and the throat chakra shuts down because we don't know how to speak up, or somebody says some mean or hurtful things, or judges us or condemns us or makes us small or tells us mean things about us or cruel things or insensitive things or hurtful things, the heart gets shut down. Or we put up a wall so we don't get hurt. The heart gets blocked. Or somebody at work, maybe a boss or a colleague, tries to play competitive, petty, jealous games or competitive games, or, tries to somehow block you from progress, and your solar plexus gets shut down, where you put physical body weight on. You put physical body weight as a form of protection. Or maybe your husband or spouse or partner, maybe somebody has had some form of sexual insult or injury. Maybe a partner has inappropriately, or a parent or someone might have inappropriately touched or invaded or abused us sexually. The sexual sacral chakra gets shut down. I mean, on and on, right? We store up stuff in there, or we unconsciously put blockages in these areas, and we don't realize that creates various degrees of physical, emotional, mental, energetic ill health or a lack of well-being. Like right now, the root chakra for humans is really shut down, right? That's why everyone wanted so much toilet paper during COVID. People didn't realize the root chakra is typically where we house our greatest fear of death and fear of all kinds of survival fears. So when that gets shut down, an unconscious need is, I'm going to need toilet paper so I can let go of this fear. Of course, most humans had no idea. That's why they were stocking up on toilet paper. They didn't know that. All right. But this is what happens. We don't realize when we're all shut down and blocked up how it affects us. When the crown chakra is blocked, we can't think clearly. Same with the third eye. We can't think clearly. We can't see clearly. We start believing lies and propaganda on mainstream TV. We can't tell who's telling me the truth. We don't know. We have no discernment. When the throat chakra is shut down, we can't swallow. or we might have thyroid imbalances, like all kinds of stuff, right? But the whole point is these piezoelectric crystals actually are here when applied properly and used properly and in alignment with the divine. They'll clear up this stuff for us. And that's what I mean by healing, part of what I mean by healing. And these advanced techniques, they're not hard to learn at all. They're easy to learn, but we're not being trained on them in schooling systems. And you can't learn about them in 5 minutes. They're not a pill, but they do work. And it is incredibly effective. Okay, so let's get into the piezoelectric crystals, how they activate your DNA. And this, of course, applies to our animals too. It's the same way, the same concept, right? Our DNA has been shut down. It's dormant. We have these at least 12 strands of DNA. The average human right now is only working or functioning from 2 of them. For those of you who know me, I do DNA activations regularly, right? The next one is on May 5th, triple portal, 555. So that portal, that triple portal, I just launched the slides in a new window in case it makes it easier for people. I don't know why, if that does help, but hopefully it does. Yeah, that triple portal, I'm not going to go into that, but that's the next time we do a live DNA activation. But we don't need to wait for a triple portal to do DNA activations. It's just that most people don't know how and haven't learned. The crystals are another way to very easily and effectively activate our dormant DNA. And they can also help us to clear out what's dormant that's not wanted, right? Corrupted. So again, if your lineage or your family lineage has anything that's been passed down through the generations, whether it's emotional, like our family has depression or our family has schizophrenia, whether it's mental or emotional or whether it's physical, our family has diabetes, our family has heart attack, our family has blood clots, whatever it is, all that stuff, it's not true. It's just what we believed was true because we were told that we were stuck with our DNA the way it was. And we haven't learned yet as a collective society, and our Western medicine hasn't learned this and incorporated it yet, that this stuff can be changed, healed, and resolved. And this is the business of Lightworkers, right? But the crystals have given us such a huge amount of information on how to do this, how to resolve these issues, and how to activate the dormant DNA, which is storing up all the greatest gifts. And by the way, every time someone sticks something up the nose to gather DNA, well, they might be saying that they're doing a test, right? A COVID test, for example. What they're really looking for, what comes off on the end of that Q-tip or swab, is a piece of your DNA. So your DNA is being looked at, and somebody is taking a storehouse, a record of your DNA when they take that swab away. And we don't know what they're doing with your DNA once that swab leaves you. But that is your DNA is your greatest gifts. They are some of the greatest gifts you have. And this is true for our animals too, because all beings of the animal kingdom, which includes us humans and then non-human animals on the earthly physical realm, are all in the animal kingdom. We're the ones who have, DNA. The DNA of humans and animals is the most prized possession there is in all of the galaxy. And it's not just humans who are interested in our DNA. Okay, I'm going to move on because that's not the point of the conversation. So let's go into the vortexes. But the big message here is that when we learn how to work with our crystals, we can use these piezoelectric crystals to activate, clear, heal, and resolve whatever it is that's dormant, that's working for our best, and whatever that is not working for our best, we can resolve it, heal and resolve it, and we can activate and awaken that which is dormant, that is so great, wonderful, and magnificent that we've barely begun to know about. So let's get into the vortex energy. Now, vortexes, again, this is scientific. You could even search this, of course, on like Wikipedia or anywhere else. What is a vortex? In everyday language, a vortex is a type of, and the plural is vortices or vortexes. It's a type of fluid or flow, fluidy flow that revolves and spins around an axis point. So there's a spinning sort of turbulence, and this vortex could be straight or it could be curved. We totally know about vortexes because whirlpools are vortexes, and smoke rings are vortexes, and tornadoes are a type of vortex in a sense. Cyclones, tropical cyclones are a type of vortex. Dust storms are a type of vortex. So these are in our natural world, and we don't question them there, but when we don't see it, for some reason, a lot of people question it. But what they are basically is a turbulent type of flow or spin that is basically a distribution of velocity, movement, a movement of the flow, and the curl, in a sense, the curl of the velocity or the curl of the flow is the velocity, which is like the speed of the movement. Again, this is like everyday layman's terms, right? I'm not here trying to teach a scientific exploration. I'm trying for us to understand this in every day. This is in our lives. I mean, you flush the toilet. It is like a vortex in a sense, even though that's not a natural one. It's created by a human, a system. It's the concept of a vortex. It's a turbulence, a flow that creates a kind of energy that is a sort of flowing energy. And the access point or the axis of it tends to, it can go in different kinds of directions. Just once it's formed, it can go, whether it's controlled vortices, like in the toilet bowl, it's controlled, right? But it can, when it's not controlled, for example, a cyclone or a tornado, it can move, it can stretch, it can twist, it can interact in complex ways. Like if you're talking about a tornado, it can pick up an entire, house off the ground potentially. So it can move, it can carry weight, and that momentum can build. It can create and build more energy and mass. So these vortices can be incredibly powerful, or they can just be very relaxed, right? And they're a spin. They have a spin. Now, if you're looking at the slides, you can see a sacred vortex is what we refer to as a special spot on Earth where these vortices exist. And when you come interact with the vortex, it's basically coming into the Earth and or projecting out of the Earth. So these vortexes or vortices are there because of their ability to move energy at an accelerated rate, because the spin and the turbulence creates the accelerated experience, the acceleration of the movement of this flow. And so if you think about it in terms of a sacred vortex, these vortices are accumulating energy, and they have consciousness. Everything has consciousness. So they have the ability to take this accumulation of energy and direct it, if they choose, expand it, intensify it, amplify it, and here's the kicker, transmute it. So they can take any form of energy, and we know everything is energy, and they can transmute energy. So we talk about the transmutation of energy. Vortexes, and specifically sacred vortexes, are taking various forms of energy, moving it in some kind of spiral, either up or down, and they can change it, shift it, depending on all kinds of variables, and basically transmute the energy into some other form of energy. This is very special and unique. It's a unique dynamic designed to facilitate transformation. So sacred vortex has a divine mission and purpose of its own, right? Now, we know sacred vortexes. None of us are strangers to these sacred vortexes. They exist all over Earth. Now, they're geographical locations that hold varying degrees of swirling vortex energies and act as major connecting points for energy fields for Mother Earth to facilitate the transmutation, the transformation of energy, right? The pyramids in Giza, Egypt, Machu Picchu in Peru, Ibiza, Esa Verida. I don't even know that one. I just did the research on that. I don't know that one. Probably some of you guys do. Stonehenge in England. That's a very famous one. The Mayan ruins in Mexico. I lived on Maui, by the way. Haleakala. I lived on that vortex. That is where, for 2 years, I had a massive awakening, transformation in 2 years. It was so incredible and back then I did not understand vortex energy when I lived on Maui. I didn't understand how it accelerates your awakening. Those were the 2 hardest years of my life. But it gave me massive awakening. And now I understand it was my divine mission to go there, to have that awakening during that time at an accelerated rate so that I could be ready prior to 2011 for the Ascension, for my role in the Ascension of humanity. Everything prior to that was just the storyline so that other humans could understand, an everyday human can have this kind of transformational experience. But that's Maui, Hawaii. Ayers Rock in Uluru, Australia, another very famous one. Mount Shasta, California, very famous. And of course, here in Sedona, Arizona. So these are some of the sacred vortexes on planet Earth. There are others. Easter Island, someone's thinking that, and yes, you're right. Whoever's thinking that, Easter Island, that's another one. These vortexes are designed to transmute energy, and they're put on Earth in these particular places with a sacred mission to assist in the transformation of dense, heavy energy into lighter energy. And the thing is the transmutation of dense, heavy energy through this vortex spiraling energy. What is it also like? A machine, a washing machine. Think of a washing machine. So you put something kind of dirty in, it goes through the spinning vortex cycle, it gets cleaned up, washed up, comes out brand new. Well, maybe not brand new, but nice and clean. And now you can use it and apply it, right? And that's what happens when we work with these vortex energies. They're cleaning us up. Our energy fields become, in a sense, cleaned up. We go through the washing machine cycle through these vortexes. So the vortexes of Sedona specifically, they're basically the entire city. It is an incorporated city now. It wasn't always. Of Sedona is a vortex, but there are peak spots within the city of Sedona, and they're well known. It's quite famous, right? Cathedral Rock is one of them. And by the way, these vortexes in Sedona are identified as feminine, which is like magnetic, right? Yin energy. And the feminine is sort of a receiving energy, right? So that's entering into Earth. So when we talk about a spinning feminine vortex energy, it's high frequencies coming into the Earth, amplifying and accelerating, supporting the elevation or the upliftment of humanity, or the upliftment of our consciousness, right? The energy's coming in. Where we talk about a masculine vortex, we typically refer to that as more electric, yang, and that is like creation energy, force coming out of or emitting from the Earth. So in Sedona, the vortexes there's a combination of those. Cathedral Rock is identified as feminine. The Chapel of the Holy Cross, there's a major landmark here, which we will visit on our retreat. It's absolutely gorgeous. You'll see a picture of it later in this presentation, but that's identified as a feminine vortex. The airport Mesa is identified as a masculine vortex. Bell Rock, actually, in the rocks, right? Identified as a masculine vortex here. And Boynton Canyon is identified as both masculine and feminine. So these are the 5 powerhouse locations, but really the whole of Sedona is one massive vortex. And so if I haven't made this clear already, because sometimes I'm really talking more than just reading these slides, but vortex energy is designed on a subatomic level to take all energy and transmute it in some way or another. And so we know in our reality that all energy, we don't necessarily see and perceive all energy in the physical world, like subatomic, non-physical energy exists and is real. That's basic quantum physics. Everything's energy, and it's non-physical energy, which includes the physical matter, is made up of non-physical energy. Even our physical bodies, all physical material, tables, chairs, computers, everything, is still made up of non-physical subatomic matter, non-physical matter. And all of that energy, all of that, we are adapting to and interacting with. This is why environment, and this is Bruce Lipton's teachings. I mean, amazing Bruce Lipton, right? He's basically this incredible scientist, teaching us this stuff, that everything is environmental. Our cells respond to the environment of our consciousness. So why is this relevant? We are responding to our environments. If you're around people who are happy and joyful, you get uplifted. If you're around people who are criticizing and condemning, you'll be pretty much brought down by them to some degree or another. And if you're in an environment that's helping you to heal and resolve issues like a vortex, it's going to help you to heal at an accelerated and amplified way, in an accelerated and amplified way. So when we come into contact with these high amounts of geographical energy vortexes, for example, sacred Sedona, and we're around a sacred energy vortex, those vortexes are going to amplify and intensify the energy that we are, and they're basically going to, in a sense, like a washing machine cycle, we get cleaned up. So we'll feel and experience, and the more conscious we are, the more consciously we feel and experience the shifting and the changing in our bodies and our beings. We can't help to respond to it. It's what happens. And I will tell you, from living in Sedona over the past, since I got here, I mean, it's just in October. It's incredible. It's so amplified. And it's really beautiful and amazing. But yeah, you go through these periods where you're like, well, I'm in the washing machine. It's intense. Intensely beautiful, intensely amazing. So Gaia Sophia, the name of Earth, most of you who are light workers know that, she put these vortexes here as a gift to herself and also to humanity. And this is why, if it's an electrical or a masculine type of energy that's helping to create, the vortex energy helps in manifestation and creation and potentially elimination, removal, right? If it's a feminine energy, a receiving energy, a magnetic, it's also a form of creation, calling in, drawing in. It's a great way and kind of energy to assist in our creation, our manifestation, and calling in and drawing into us more of what we want and desire. In this sense, Gaia Sophia is facilitating her own healing through these vortexes by her transmuting, using the vortexes to transmute the density out of her experience and the lightness into her experience, right? And of course, it helps us as well. It helps us. Native Americans and great shamans have always known this stuff. They've known this, and this is, not to get off on that tangent, but that's a lot of why those tribes have been so decimated because they've had this knowledge way before those, who came after them. So we could call it the old patriarchy system, the old patriarchy that tried to destruct and destroy all of this kind of ancient wisdom and knowledge, right? But the Native Americans knew this specifically about Sedona, all of this vortex energy. They also knew that these vortexes are places for interdimensional portals to other dimensions. Now, the conversation today isn't so much about portals and dimensions. I've had those conversations. It's tons of stuff, on my YouTube and in my sacred membership, and so much of what I teach and share. But let me say this. Dimensions and portals exist both within our physical form, our entire morphogenetic form, and the physical earthly realm. So they are access doorways to other realms which have been unknown to us and that are available to us as we attune to them. We must attune to them. So that's why actually physically coming to a physical vortex such as sacred Sedona, your body attunes, your morphogenetic field attunes, and these dimensional doorways become available to you. Dimensional portals you become attuned so that these can open up for you. Now, the average tourist who doesn't understand this or isn't doing spiritual work, for them, they'll come, they may or may not have any idea. Maybe they do have an awakening, maybe they don't. It's very important to be in spiritual harmony with this stuff, because the doorways, the portals in a sense, all of this is amplified when you're aligned with it energetically, when you're spiritually aligned. It's a gift from Earth, Gaia, for all of us. So, but we must be aligned with it, and we can make massive, massive leaps forward with our own spiritual development and our own spiritual progress. I mean, healing is just the beginning of it. Incredible clarity can come through, peace, harmony, our just alignment with our own inner divinity, inner peace, just feeling and being in a whole new state of consciousness. It's what we're all searching for. So with that, that's why let me ask you a question about this. What do you think that something like that is worth for you? Because in my experience, I spent an entire lifetime working toward this. And I don't think this is my first lifetime. It's like, I'm looking at the chat right now, and I just saw Bonnie write at 1 minute. And that's exactly right. It's like, exactly that. We're at one with ourselves. And Roxana just said priceless. And it's so true. It is priceless, because the change that we experience internally, personally, then is reflected in our entire external reality. It extends out from who we are. And then all of our loved ones get the benefits too, because the vibration, the energy, the shift we make helps and supports shifting them, which domino effects, ripples out to others around them, and ultimately always reflects back to us. Everything ultimately is a reflection. So when we come somewhere like Sedona and we hold sacred space with brothers and sisters like us who are looking for healing, to resolve our issues, safe place to be together, to have community, to make change, and to do it in the most enjoyable way possible, then humanity doesn't always have to have it forced upon us, like COVID, for example, a wake-up call, like wake up, change or die. That's the big calling on Earth. So when we willingly kind of go in and make a choice, I'm going to do my healing in a place where it's safe, with community and people, where it's safe, where I'm meant to do it, where Mother Earth herself designed it. Like, that is priceless. It is, Roxana. Thank you for saying that. It's totally priceless. We can't measure that We don't even know how to measure that, but what we do know is that it ripples out and affects the whole of humanity in a positive way. And then ideally, we don't have to have these kinds of apocalyptic types of experiences that are such huge wake-up calls. We knew, in my community, we've known for easily 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I've been talking about the third wave, 2020. We've been talking about bifurcation of timelines. What happened in 2020 overall wasn't really a surprise. We just all thought it was going to be a lot more benevolent. We didn't realize it would be so challenging. And this is why when we do the work willingly and we come to a place like Sacred Sedona to do this kind of inner work and to do this healing, we understand Sedona's helping us to transmute this. Sedona's serving us and really helping us to make massive leaps and bounds forward in our journey, which then, that's like the biggest thing all light workers want. How do I help my loved ones? Well, it affects them in a positive way. It affects the whole of Mother Earth, all of humanity in a positive way when we actively engage rather than having it forced upon us by, just trying to be asleep, just going through life being asleep and unconscious, right? So this is why I want to talk to you about the Sacred Sedona journey. It's awaiting all of us. It's holy, sacred land. And this is where these piezoelectric crystals are, and this is where these sacred vortexes are. And they're deep underground in energetic grid systems that connect to all of the major earth chakras, all of the major energy centers of Earth that facilitate the uplevelment of our consciousness, the Christ, to help awaken that Christ crystalline consciousness within us and to help us to shift and become vibrationally compatible with that Christ consciousness. But it's up to us to transform our own density. And we're navigating our way through this challenging time on Earth so that we can shift out of those lower, denser experiences and into these higher realms of existence. And of course, these are just the very early stages of this, because as we awaken and tap into more and more of our divine potential, our unlimited divine potential, we have so much greatness to offer humanity, our planet, all animals, and those of us who really are resonating as light workers, who really do want a better Earth, a better humanity for everyone. We want the elimination of suffering for all. That's what we want. That's what light workers want. The light worker role is to transmute energy. That's what we do. And to anchor in new, higher, purer frequencies so that we can ultimately eliminate suffering for all. That's our role. Well, we come to these sacred hotspots because these sacred Sedona, sacred vortex energies really amplify that for us and assist us in that process. And they teach us how to do it with a kind of effortless grace, ease, and benevolence and love. And, well, what do you know? We get to be in these breathtaking views, breathtaking. I say every day these days, I'm like, I live inside of a postcard. Right now, I'm living in a postcard. In these gorgeous mountain ranges, and these winds, they're like the most beautiful whispering winds. You get quiet, you can hear the ancestors speaking to you. The consciousness of the rock people and the granite people, the tree people, the nature spirits, they are alive. This is not woo-woo. This is what the ancients knew. And this is what humanity has been asleep to for so long, and why things have just gone so wrong on Earth. That's why things have gone so wrong, because people are asleep to this stuff. And through our awakening to this is Mother Earth's gift to humanity to help us to wake up to this, to literally help us to resolve our issues. And those of us who are light workers, we are at the forefront of this. So I would love to have you join us on the Sacred Sedona retreat, where we will be working with these vortexes and the piezoelectric crystals We will be doing grid work, and we will be doing our deep inner processing. So let me go over this a bit. I want to show you tons of pictures and give you some more amazing insights too on how you can work with the vortex energies even when you're not necessarily nearby. And of course, remember, I'm going to offer, for those of you who keep sticking around with me, I want to make sure I'm going to be offering you a way to get an extra bonus gift of over almost $800. All right. So the retreat, number one, I want to tell you, is designed for all light workers and everyone who's choosing to do healing and processing. Now, what is processing? Processing is the process that we go through to resolve our old third dimensional fear-based issues, our pain, our suffering, whatever it is, challenges in relationships, challenges with physical health, challenges with mental or emotional related issues, depression, anxiety, sadness, grief, challenges with money or material gain or loss. These are the old third dimensional paradigm kinds of issues that we deal with wherever we've kept ourselves stuck, locked up, boxed in, small, not living our greatest potential. That's the way to get through that, is to process it. If we try to sweep it under the carpet and be carpet sweepers, we end up staying stuck in a fear-based paradigm that forces us to wake up by, unfortunately, creating a mass apocalyptic type of experience, such as a plandemic, to force people to wake up and change, right? So we come to a retreat like this so we can do it in safe space and process these things so we don't get, wrapped up in that old paradigm, and so we can free and liberate ourselves from those old boxed in ways of living. So the first purpose, there's 3 purposes of this retreat. And the first is for each of us to have a safe space with one another to do the deep dives into our own unconscious, to clear, heal, and resolve our old mental, emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual debris, the clutter that has been interfering or weighing us down or entangling us in our old paradigm or entangling us in any way, shape, or form with our own challenges, the challenges that we've had and experienced where, just the old paradigm has failed us and is not working. So we come together to do this inner processing together to resolve and address the issues in safe community and with the support and assistance of Sacred Sedona, so that we can come into more alignment with our true divinity and to be more embodying the higher frequencies. Yeah, that's the first primary piece. And what that means really as a facilitator of the retreat is that you will be receiving tons of individual support, guidance, healing, insight, channeled guidance and support, direct channeling. And I happen to think I'm an awesome channeler, I just want to say. So my channeling is not just like one being or angels. No, I channel consciousness of animals, of angelics, ascended masters, locations, geography, crystalline realms, all different crystals, consciousness of the plant and mineral kingdom, the David kingdom, certainly our star family races. I've been working tons over the Ascension with Melchizedek, the Melchizedek order, which I consider myself to be a member of the Melchizedek order. Many of you are too. The different angel gods. Enoch is what I call an angel god. And of course, archangels, who are all helping us. And of course, the star family races, if I didn't say that already. All of our star beings and our galactic brothers and sisters, who, by the way, are all over the place in Sedona. It's a hot spot. So we get channeling, and all of this is designed to assist us to align with our highest trajectory. Our highest trajectory is an ascension trajectory. It's a trajectory of our own evolution, so that we're continually growing and expanding and moving way beyond the old third dimensional paradigm. And so that we all get to awaken, right? And then we get to awaken our gifts, come into alignment with the divine. So that's really the primary mission. Now, the secondary mission is for us to come together and play and enjoy one another in sacred communion and connection. And I want to say that we do this in sacred circles. We do this, when we eat together. We have community. We do our outings together, our visits, to the land, to the water. There's lots of water here in Sedona. A lot of people don't know that. All of the time we spend connecting with one another and in nature, we are forming our sacred sisterhood and our sacred brotherhood. This is a really important aspect of the retreat. And the reason is that most light workers, and I'm sure a lot of you resonate with this, we've been very well distributed all around the earth in different places. But that was done on purpose so that we could anchor in light. We are ourselves, in a sense, light holders, right? Light keepers to anchor that in. But many of us have for so long felt so isolated and sometimes alone. And certainly, oh my goodness, the last year of 2020 created so much aloneness and loneliness. I mean, at this point, I think I was saying this the other day in one of my groups that, the suicide rates have increased more than the death rate of COVID, right? Because people are just alone and hopeless. And in the Lightworker community, we tend to be very positive and upbeat and optimistic in general. But the thing is like we're holding the light and doing our best to transmute shadow into light all the time. And we need one another. We need the support of one another because we can't be so isolated and do it alone. And that is one of my favorite things about every one of the retreats I've done. I've been doing retreats now for quite a while. The dolphin retreats I did in the Bahamas. I did retreats. I used to do retreats in Los Angeles years ago, small 1-day or 2-day retreats. And then more recently in Arkansas, which those are still going on. We fall in love with each other. We really do. And when I say we fall in love with each other, what I mean is it's just you're around people like for 7 to 10 days and you just feel so safe, so loved. It doesn't matter what they are, what they're like. Like everybody gets to be their real, authentic self and feel so loved in the presence of others because that's the environment I create. It's one of my strengths. I think it's because I have so much Cancerian and Pisces energy. If you're into astrology, I have tons of watery energy, which is, watery love. I have 2 planets in Virgo too, which is, all about transmutation and Earth, working with the Earth. I have a great planet in Libra, which gives me a great balance as well. But overall, and I have a great planet in Sagittarius, which gives me the potential to be a wonderful teacher and leader. But the overall energy there is like all that love. And this is what we're creating in our community. And so that is just a really important part of this retreat as well. And I can say from having led so many retreats, we create lifelong friendships. And we always will have a private Facebook group where we can connect and commune even outside of the retreat, before, after. And I always do a pre-event call too, so we get to know each other. The third part of this retreat, I want to say, is the lands, Sedona. So it is a vacation retreat, and we will be visiting some of these incredible, not only the vortex sites, but some of the incredible lands here. And you'll get to know these portals and these dimensional doorways and make these connections through time-space realities where you realize we're not limited anymore to time or space in the way we ever were before. We'll connect with all the supernatural minerals and the mineral formations here, the energy vortexes, and these ultra-luminescent energies and frequencies here, as well as the galactic brothers and sisters who are all over the night sky. We'll talk about this more. But those are the 3 most important pieces of this retreat, is the healing, the deep inner work, to do healing, resolving our issues. And you don't have to have anything majorly wrong. I mean, I'm always working on stuff, and I don't, it's always something to work on and resolve, because as we resolve it for ourselves, we resolve it for one another, right? That's the first part. Second part, sacred community. Third part, Sedona herself, the incredible, incredible beauty of this incredible place. So purpose and mission and collective healing, transformation in a safe and loving group experience and environment. I pretty much have said this already. And then working, of course, with these crystals and these vortexes and this incredible high frequency energy here to up level our bodies and beings and to amplify the light body within us, the light quotient. A lot of people don't understand this. I was recently on a radio show and I was talking about how, I'm working on the entire clearing of the core pillar. And I get that's a very advanced concept. Clearing your core pillar, going way beyond just your basic 7 chakras, so that you're basically the embodiment of light and love. And that's what's emanating in you, through you, and from you. And then your experience starts to reflect that, right? So let's talk about some of the activities. Sacred circles. Of course, we love the sacred circles. That's where we get to support one another, receive the support we need, participate in loving circles, and do the deep dives. Tons of activations, right? Because the activations are really what do the transformation. You can sit in circles all day. You can go to retreats all day. And if people aren't working with sacred energy, the circles will make you feel good while you're there. And then after you go home, it'll just fade away. But the activations make it really quite permanent. And sacred ritual. I mean, the rituals are amazing, right? We've done, and on my retreats, we've done cacao ceremonies and fire ceremonies. We will be doing those here. Different, unique to Sedona, and yet still lots of sacred ritual, lots of divine channeling. I love channeling. I love connecting with the beings from the non-physical realm and accessing the information and the energy and the consciousness that they want to share with us to facilitate our awakening. And when you're in the group, you will get one-on-one channeling that's right for you, just for you. I do this directly with people and animals. Direct downloads. So downloads are always higher frequency consciousness that's basically downloaded into our consciousness, our bodies and beings, right? Higher perspectives, new clarity, wisdom, consciousness to help us awaken. Because otherwise we're just functioning from old paradigm beliefs and perspectives that are just no longer serving us. They're not even most of the time true, real, right, or accurate. So when we do the direct downloads from source or from higher consciousness beings, whether it's angelics or divine goddesses, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, any of the divine goddesses who show up, they are, so many of them. Or they bring in new higher harmonics, new higher consciousness. We get these downloads from ascended masters, whoever comes into our group based on our group collective, what our needs are, what our issues are, and they help us resolve our issues, right? Support, of course, for your deep processing, and of course the sacred community that we talked about. We will have fire ceremony, and we will be doing grid work, learning about how to use and do the grid work. And when you step up to being of service to Mother Earth, you are divinely protected. You do get all these special compensations on your journey. And then we'll do stargazing, of course. The night sky here, if you've ever been to Sedona, it's a black sky. We call it black sky and blackout sky. And wow, the stargazing here is incredible. And we will see lots and lots of ship activity. It's a normal thing in the evenings. It is, you will see them. And I mean, I've been seeing them ever since Maui. It's very easy for me to identify them, but I've learned most people can't see them unless you train your eye or are trained how to do it. But once you start seeing them, you almost can't stop if you're willing to, if you choose it, if you want it. It's your choice entirely. Everything is entirely your choice there, right? But once you can start seeing them, we can also do deeper connection with our star family races. And our star family races, just for the record, the ones I connect with are the benevolence. I only work with benevolence. I'm not interested in the old paradigm stuff. I don't have a problem with it. I had to work with it to get to the light frequency where I'm at, but it's just not that interesting or fun playing with reptilians who just want to harm you. Like, just not interested. So we're working with the most benevolent, loving beings who are future versions of us. We are them, and they are us, a different time-space reality. And there is incredible love, incredible gifts that they have to share with us, incredible gifts of consciousness, and yes, DNA activations. They help us awaken all of our superhuman abilities, and they're there for us. And so we will connect with them too. And we'll be merging with the vortexes and working with these vortexes. And we've talked about this. So, of course, we'll be using these vortexes and applying them. If you're a healer, learning how to tap into the vortexes and use these energies are going to increase your gifts exponentially, phenomenally. If you're an intuitive, any gifts that you already have, these vortex energies are also going to amplify and accelerate your gifts. And, of course, your own personal healing. And, of course, we'll be spending tons of time in nature, just unifying with Gaia and the nature realms and the elementals. And you will really love, like, how you learn more and more about directly interacting with the consciousness of all these realms. They're just incredible. They have so much to share. And, of course, through our sacred connection with one another, we'll be having heart-centered revelations and sharing, connection, community, tribe, and yeah, lots of spa services, because we're going to do some wonderful spa treatments. I'm going to have a massage therapist available and crystal singing bowls, and I'll talk about some of the activities, the direct activities. So through all of these circles, rituals, meditations, we'll be connecting with our spirit guides, masters, teachers, loved ones, our own inner higher self, source self, sacred self, and accessing and receiving more of our own divinity, our own divine guidance, learning how to better navigate our own divine guidance and really use our inner discernment, which is really being called upon now on Earth, and really, really further practicing self-love. I can't even begin to say the self-love and self-honor piece and self-care is so important right now. You know, learning how to create sacred ritual to care for, love, nurture, and honor the self for each of us is perhaps the most important thing we can do. And it keeps our animals healthy too, and our loved ones healthy when we do that. And we'll be doing meditation and ritual, forgiveness, of course, of self, of others. If we think we don't have forgiveness to do, then we don't realize how much service we can offer. I actually had somebody once on the retreat in Arkansas say that she didn't feel that she had any forgiveness work to do. And I was like, you're not digging deep enough. Like, there's so much forgiveness work. We have to forgive the government. We have to forgive the mass media. We have to forgive everything on earth that has caused any suffering to any living being. Forgiveness work is done. So if you feel yourself personally that you don't have forgiveness work, that's bravo. That means it's time for you to up level and do forgiveness work for the collective. We have to forgive COVID. We have forgiveness work on earth to do. So we'll be doing that and lots of karmic clearing, because the whole point of the Ascension is to free and liberate ourselves 100% from karma. It really is cleared, but most of us are still carrying around some of the density of it. And if we're not, we might be carrying it for our lineage, our loved ones, and we don't always realize, like, the thing that's stuck with us forever that we haven't been able to resolve no matter what we've done. Sometimes it's just because there's a piece in place still because we agreed to hold on to it for our lineage. And until that's done, and I'll say that's one of the things about me I love, because I know how to resolve things through the bloodlines for the entire lineage. So our ancestors and our descendants can benefit from the healing that we do. All right, this is the role of light workers. And of course, lots and lots of activations for the heart center, removing all of our own blocks, the various chakra centers, the third eye, clearing whatever's the stickiest stuff we've ever had, the belief systems that we've carried that get in our way. We don't always realize, our own blockages. And you don't really, truly have any blockages. You have perceived blockages. But those are all that stuff. All your gifts are going to be amplified. Because once you start clearing this stuff, you realize, oh my God, wow, I didn't even realize that was there. It happens to me all the time, especially in Sedona. Lots of angelic clearings and working with galactic shamans and various spirit doctor teams and benevolence in the non-physical to help us and to assist us. Tons of connecting as well with our animals and our family lineage members who have crossed over and our animals who are alive. You will know the animals are welcome on this. I'll get into that. And we'll do tons of energy balancing. We'll have these wonderful experiences with gongs, and I talked about the crystal bowls. This is the image I was speaking about earlier of the chapel of the Holy Cross. And this image, I was up there just last week. It doesn't even do it justice. It is just incredible. It's like a chapel right in the mountains. Have any of you guys seen that? Some of you have. I know some of you have. But that is one of our outings. We will be going there. And we'll be doing sunrise and sunset meditations right in the canyons. We'll be doing a medicine wheel. We're doing a labyrinth walk in the evening. I'll show you some pictures of that. Stick with me. We'll be going to the famous Amitabha Stupa, where the Buddha and Peace Park is. I'll show you some pictures of that. We'll be going to the Tlaquepaque Arts and Shopping Village. It's just really adorable and fun. The Chocolate Tree Eatery, organic foods, so good. Cathedral Rock, where everyone goes and dances. It's incredible. Bell Rock, of course, the Vortexes we're talking about. Crystal singing bowls, meditations, and the sun gazing and stargazing. For people who want to stay for the extension, because there will be an extension. We're going to do extra tours, a UFO tour, the Vortex tour, some different swimming holes. For example, Grasshopper Point, which I love. I've been going there. Oh my God, it's just amazing. I'll never forget my first time at Grasshopper Point since I moved here. At the end of the day, I came into the parking lot back to my car and I was like, oh my God, that was the best day ever. And this guy was in the parking lot. It was totally empty, but he heard me say it and he just started laughing because he totally got it. Totally got it. So anyway, there's so many incredible sites here. Buddha Beach, Slide Rock. I'm going to show you some pictures of these, but these are some of the outings we're going to be doing. Yeah, the whole thing is about connecting with Starseeds, Lightworkers, way showers, change agents, the Indigo family tribe, and making lifelong friendships, connections, and bonds. I want to show you these pictures, but let me just go quick through the general itinerary. Now, when you register for the retreat, you get a welcome kit, which has a more thorough itinerary and a more extensive details on everything. But Thursday night, we have a get-together, just a get-together where we get to know one another and we go over, we get in sacred circle, we introduce ourselves, we meet each other, we get the outline, we go over the retreat, and we have food, just so we're connecting in a unified way. And then pretty much most of the days follow the same kind of flow. We wake up, you have breakfast either on your own or with members of the group, that's your choice. We have morning session, then at lunchtime, you can have your own individual, but we will have a group lunch. If we, for those who want to have group lunch, we have lunches, outings planned for all the lunches. Then there's some break time for you to do shopping or, personal reflection, enjoying Sedona. There's lots of adorable little stores here. Then we have afternoon sessions for another about 3 hours. Then we have a group dinner. The group dinner is together. And then in the evening, we have Sacred Circle again for another about 3 hours. So that's kind of the flow pretty much every day for the primary retreat. Morning sessions, afternoon sessions, and evening sessions. And you have breakfast either on your own or with other members of the group. And then we have lunch together. If you choose to join us, that's your choice. And we have dinner together, group dinner. If you choose to join us, that's your choice. And then we have evening circle, right? That's the primary outline of the retreat. And again, in the welcome kit, you get all the more specific details. Now, on the 5th day, some people leave, right? We say final farewells, lots of hugging and goodbye and photos. And then there's an optional extra stay for those who want to stay on. That's when we do more of the outings. We do the tours, like the Vortex tour, and a lot more of the special outings that we do. But it's the same general flow. The morning sessions, the afternoon sessions, the evening sessions, but typically the outings are either in the day or an evening session. So the various outings, as I mentioned, one of them is Grasshopper Point, one of them is Buddha Beach, and I'm going to show you pictures of these places. So the extension, and then the last day, for those who want to, we're going to do a balloon ride, assuming everyone wants to. We have to wake up at dawn if we do that, because the balloon rides are incredible here. They go over the whole of Sedona. All right, and then the final day is Thursday, right? I'll show you all. I'll lay this out more specifically. So the hotels, you get your own hotel. You get to stay wherever you want. There's a lot of people from Sedona will be joining us, so they don't. You can stay wherever you'd like, and when you get the welcome kit, I'll give you a list of all the local hotels and how you can book, and as well as Airbnbs and local places, that you can possibly, if you choose to stay in. And the airport that people fly into is Phoenix. That's the closest airport. There is one in Flagstaff. There's also one in Sedona, but you just end up making connections there. And you pay more for the connections. So the smartest one to fly into is Phoenix. That's only about 2 hours, a little more than 2 hours away from here. So you'd rent a car if you're flying into Phoenix. And for people who want a carpool, prior to the live retreat, I will have a pre-call for people. So we help facilitate carpooling for people. So what's included in the retreat is all of the retreat group sessions and tutorials, all of the circles, the healings, the downloads, the activations, the meditations, the practices, the training, the working with the crystals, the rituals, the ceremonies, all of that, all the group discussions, all of the support and guidance that I will give and support you, all of the channeling, the crystal singing bowls, all of that, the musical sound bath, the candle ceremonies, the energy healing, and of course the shared experience, the community, the unbinding healing connection, like it's just the sacred connection, the fun, the union. That all is that's what the retreat is all about, right? Once we're here too, the local transportation, like everything is 5 minutes away. Everything is really close. It's a really small geographical area. Even if you go from the furthest end of Sedona to the other furthest end of Sedona, which is considered to be, West Sedona to VOC, which is the village of Oak Creek, that's a 20-minute drive, assuming there's zero traffic. But even with traffic, it's really typically not more than a 30-minute drive. But we won't even be going that far. Like everything's really close. So while you're here, we'll carpool to everything. So all of that's included. And the snacks, appetizers, hors d'oeuvres, the group gatherings, that's included. The organic meals that we have as group dinners, that's going to be included. The outing dinners, the outings are not, but the group inside food is included. Everything that you need for the retreat to feel loved, valued, honored, accepted, appreciated, cared for, nurtured during our retreat, that's included. The community, all of that. That's the facilitation, that's included. What's not included is your airfare, your transportation, and that includes if you have to do a car rental if you're not from Sedona. Your lodging, you do that on your own. And the excursion meals, so whenever we dine out, that's not included. extra excursions are not included. But if we're just going to a park, most of the stuff, there's not a fee. Like when we go to the Buddha, there's no fee for that. When we do Grasshopper Point, there's no fee for that. Well, there's a park fee, but it's like $5, right? And I have a park pass, so it's like the balloon ride, for example. That's what I mean. That's an extra excursion. And those are optional too. You know, you can come on the retreat and not necessarily have to do the extra excursions if you choose not to. So that's not included. The travel insurance, which I highly recommend now, especially these days, because there's so much unpredictability in our world these days, that's not included. And if you decide to do anything privately, private one-on-one sessions, or extra gifts, souvenirs, shopping that you do on your own, that obviously is not included. Let me show you some of these incredible pictures. These are my pictures. Look at this light here coming through. If you're on the video portion, you can see these are real pictures. I live in a postcard right now. That is Sedona. This is what we're literally walking around, looking at every day. Incredible. This is the Buddha Peace Park. And if you look in that lower, I know the people who helped build this. They live in Sedona. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, those are the medicine wheels. We'll be doing sacred ceremony there. We'll be meditating here. It's just incredible. Right? This is a famous location. I'm going to show you some more pictures. I want to just mention the Fair Energy Exchange here for people who are ready to join us. And please know this is an investment in you, your life, and your soul's journey and evolution. So it's all about you. The regular rate, by the way, the retreat link is here, right? It's on my website, but you should be able to see it on the video. If you're listening through video, it's at LoriSpagna.com. Under the Live Events tab, you will see the link there. Under the Live Events tab for Sacred Sedona. So it's at LoriSpagna.com/sacred-Sedona-retreat. Or just head over to LoriSpagna.com and scroll under the Live Events tab. You'll see Sacred Sedona. You can follow along. The link is also, I believe, in fact, I'm going to put it on the chat just to help people if you want to look. I'll put it in there. There's the link. It should be on the page for this as well, but on the webcast page. But if you can't see it, there it is. So the regular rate for this is $2,444. Right now, that's not what's listed though, because there's an early bird fast action rate of $2,222. That's the full rate right now for anyone who's registering right now. And that full payment rate is available now through Sunday, April 4th for fast action, folks. So they save $222 off the regular Fair Energy Exchange rate. The reason this rate is this way is because you're going to get tons of one-on-one support and attention. You're going to have such an incredible experience. The balance, by the way, deposit holds your space of $795. The deposit will hold your space today of $795, right? The balance would be due $1,433, $1,433. It's paid before April 15th, or $1,650 if paid after April 15th. And the optional extra stay, as long as you register before May 1st, is $695. And after May 1st, it's $795. The final payment is due by May 1st. So here's a great offer for you too. If you're ready, you can bring a friend for half price as long as one of you registers on or before August 4th. It says August. It's supposed to be April. Typo, sorry. April 4th. So as long as one of you registers before April 4th, it's basically this week, you can bring a friend for half price. Yay! So that half price is for the base of the retreat, the regular retreat. That doesn't include the extension. But that means your friend saves $1,111. And of course, you can split it between you so you both can save. That's a great deal. That's awesome. All right, so stay with me because I'm still getting to how you can get over $700 in bonus. Let me show you some more images. This I just took this week. These 4 images are right along the creek. And the water kind of doesn't look very clear right now, but it's actually way clearer than it looks in these images. It's actually very clear. It's just the way the image came out, but incredible. I was here. This is the creek side. This is like a little beach along the creek. And there is some of that beautiful Sedona rock. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that? You can say on the chat. Like, that is so gorgeous. I mean, I was like, that's sand along a beach. Gorgeous. And this is what we call creekside. This right here, what you're looking at right now, Sacred Sedona, calling all lightworkers. This is This is along the creek at Grasshopper Point. And there's all kinds of little swimming holes along here, special points where you can swim. This is from the labyrinth walk I did within the last month on a full moon. So this was a nighttime labyrinth walk. This is one of the largest labyrinths on the planet. And it's an outdoor labyrinth. You can't see how big it is. But I walked it under a full moon. That's what we're going to be doing, walking this labyrinth. And there was a harp player in the middle. And then when we got to the middle, we got to lay on the earth and look up at the night sky, pitch black. And there were ships in the sky. Well, the sky is pitch black, but the moon, obviously, you can see there. Wow. That was a full moon walk. Incredible. And this labyrinth is just outside. It's in Sedona, but it's like outside of the city. So all you hear is silence. I spent a huge part of my life traveling to try to find places where I could go not too far from, physical earthly people and still hear the sound of silence. And this is one of them. You can hear the sound of silence. And when you hear the sound of silence, the body starts to relax. The whole body, you start to hear and feel, yes. Every cell in your body breathes and says thank you. It's like, thank you so much for giving me this. This is what I've been needing and wanting. And we just don't have enough of that. We don't have that. And even as I'm just like tuning into this labyrinth, like you can hear it even in my voice. It's just, that's what happens. It's the peace that you feel inside. And it starts to reverberate through your whole being. And every part of you you start to fall in love with the energy that you feel, which is you, your body, your being, your experience. And this is like what this labyrinth was, what Sedona offers, and what this sacred space offers. Like, there's just nothing like it. It's just incredible. It just feels so good, And we're going to have this. We're going to have this on our retreat. So yeah, I mentioned this energy exchange already. So today's fast action rate right now is $2,222 for the full payment. And if you want to just hold your space, it's $795 to hold your space. The balance is due, the balance of $1,444 by April 15th or $1,650 if paid after April 15th. The optional extra stay is from June 3rd, $695 is paid by June 3rd. And May 1st, if it's after, $795 if it's after May 1st. Yeah? So I want to give you the website again where you can register. It's at LoriSpagna.com. Under the live events tab, you'll see Sacred Sedona. You know, I do this a lot. I didn't say the exact dates. So it's like talking about the retreat and I didn't say the exact dates. So we're talking at the last weekend in May. It's May 27th through the 31st. That's the primary retreat. And that's the 5 days of the expansion and the retreat in Sacred Sedona. The optional extra stay is May 31st to June 3rd. So we're only talking a couple months away. And this is really, like, if you've been sitting at home, I want to say the quarantine piece, there's no quarantine here. So I've noticed from my friends who live in Los Angeles, they have a lot of fear. A lot of them have said, I don't want to come there because people aren't masked up enough yet. But actually what it is there's no fear here. There's not a lot of fear here. I mean, there are from the tourists, but the people who live here, there's not a lot of fear. And that's why we don't really have a quarantine. Everything's pretty open. And 2 days ago, the governor lifted, or last week, the mask mandate. So if you feel uncomfortable outside of a mask, you can wear one, but you'll find yourself feeling very free here and not afraid because there's just not a heavy density of fear here. So if you register today, here's the extra bonus. Today, during our live call, I've been doing a 5-week Ascension support group. The link is there. It's also on the website. So on the website at LoriSpagna.com, if you drop down under the live events tab, you'll see 5-week Ascension, channel coaching, healing retreat. It's an online retreat. We're basically right now in week 3, but for anyone who registers, you'll get added to that group as my gift. And that course right now retails at $795. So you'll get that as my gift. And you'll get to get on with us. And we're having a great group. We are loving it. And for those of you who are already in the group, please don't be dismayed because you guys know that you are already this week getting an additional gift of a whole course over and above what you got, right? What you thought you were going to get, a full course that you guys are getting gifted that's valued also at $795. So you guys also got a gift. Right? The new people won't get that gift, that extra bonus course on the secret energy of money. But everyone who ever comes on any of my retreats, classes, they always get extra bonuses given. They get full courses and things because I give over and above what I promise. Because I like to overgive, over-deliver. So this is for people who register today. They'll get to participate in the next remainder of this course. So they'll have extra time with me during this 5-week Ascension support class. And this is the description of that course. It's a live, we've been going for 3 weeks so far, a live online webinar where we're doing healing and assisting, through guidance and channeling and support for everybody on the journey. So anyone who registers during our live call will get added into this group as an extra bonus, and you save an additional $800. You get a gift of $800, basically. You'll get the recorded calls from the last ones. Tons of great stuff in there. So if you're registering today and before August 4th, you will be able to bring a friend or loved one for half price. If you register during our live call right now before we hang up, you'll also get the 5-week Ascension support group added in. You get to join us. If I didn't say it already, that's me and my new dog. Animals are welcome. This is the thing to know about animals, bringing your animal companions. They have to be well behaved, of course. They have to be able to get along with other humans and animals and to, be able to behave well in sacred circles. If you hear that shaking, that's my dog. She's just getting up. She's been napping next to me. And of course, you want to make sure that wherever you're staying allows them, to come. But they're perfectly welcome. And I've always allowed animals to be part of our retreats because I love animals. And I just leave it up to you, the parent or guardian of the animals, to make sure that they're well behaved. The key thing here with this bringing animals is just know that some of the outings you might not be able to bring them. Like you can't, if we do a balloon ride, you can't bring them in the balloon, hot air balloon. But, we can help you as well with local, because there's like rover.com can do a 1-day pet sitting if you need some support with that. Just so you know, you just have to be smart about when you bring your animals, and you know how that goes. That's just life as a pet parent. Anyway, I'm going to take questions now. I would love to start with any questions that are particularly about the retreat or the content of the class and the content of what we've covered. I see a lot of questions will be a replay, and I always do my best to make a replay, but I can't always guarantee it because it does depend on how the recordings go and stuff. So that's why I do it live. And I would love to hear more from you guys. How are you doing? Especially anyone who's been on a retreat with me before, because I know that the people who come on our retreats absolutely love them. This is, by the way, I'll put the link here for anyone who wants to see the extra bonus if you register live on the call with us. That's the link to the extra bonus that's valued at $800, the 5-week Ascension support. And the Sacred Sedona Retreat, which again is all about community and friendship, connection, healing, and of course working with these vortexes and these piezoelectric crystals. Here's that retreat again, that link. Tammy, you are already registered, and I'm really excited that you're coming. And I know you're also already in that 5-week Ascension support group, so I'm so happy that you're joining us. And Mark, you're coming too. I know you are. I'm so looking forward to having you with us. I love our connections. The last retreat I led was so amazing and incredible. And my guidance team told me, you're going to be doing more of these because people need these environments where they can come together, feel safe, connected, feel that connection with one another and feel so, loved and supported where we can do our work together. And I mean, when Sedona came and that was all downloaded to me, I just was amazed because this place is incredible. I love this place so much that I don't know, it's just done so much for me. It's done so much to support me. Mark, I will add you in, and Michelle, I will add you in. If you're already registered and you want to join us for the 5-week, the remainder of the online webinar, I will be glad to join you guys if you're already registered. So I just wanted to put an extra bonus in there for anyone who was ready today. So, but yes, sure, if you guys are already registered, of course. People who are always registered for my retreats always get extra bonuses. So, yeah, I wanted to show you some more of these pictures too. Did I get to all of them? Actually, I guess I am. If you guys want to ask more questions, this is the time, and you can put them in the chat. I'll also look, I forgot. On the Q&A, you can put questions in there as well. Anything on the content we've covered, or about the sacred retreat. So I would love to know if there are any people who are considering the retreat or curious about the retreat who want to know anything else about it. This is your time to ask. Sarah said, I've been listening and learning from Lori for this past year, and I would agree that she is an incredible channeler of information. Thanks, Sarah. That's so nice of you to say. Maureen said, it's gorgeous. I was there in 2018 and climbed Bell Rock. I felt protected in the storm near a little of the vortex wind. Oh, that's awesome. Roxana said, would we go swimming in the first 5 days? There's certainly opportunity to go swimming in the first 5 days. The outings, let me just look. The outings in the welcome kit, trying to see if the outings in the first 5 days. Grasshopper Point, we're definitely doing swimming. Buddha Beach, we're definitely doing swimming. Slide Rock, we're definitely doing swimming. Those 3 are on the extension. Because the Friday is when we go to the Amitabha Stupa and Peace Park, and we do the medicine wheel. There's not swimming on the first day, it's the outing, right? Then the second day we go to the Saturday we go to the Chapel of the Holy Cross. That doesn't really have swimming. And then we do the Sound Bowl. The third day we're going to do the Labyrinth Walk. We're also going to do a laughter party. And then Monday night we do the Vortex Tour. So there's not swimming worked into the first 5 days, but there is opportunity because the creek is everywhere. I mean, it's not everywhere. It's the creek, but it's easy to access. So during a break, you can go swimming. And certainly if your hotel or accommodations has a pool, the place where we will be has a pool. Our main event place, there's a pool. So pool, swimming, yes, easy. Creekside in the first 5 days, you to answer your question, Roxana, the Creekside swimming and the Buddha Beach and the Grasshopper Point, that's in the extension, but it doesn't mean you can't work it in during your break time. I hope that makes sense. So the exact location of the event, it's in a community, a retreat community where we're having it, and that exact location, it's West Sedona, and it's in the welcome kit, the address. Once you register, we give the exact address, but West Sedona is all you need to know. There's everything's 5 minutes away in West Sedona. It's so small. It's kind of funny because I've been walking the dog so much, and my new puppy. And when we walk, I run into people all the time who are tourists because there's a lot of tourists here. And they say things like, wow, I didn't know, I thought it was just a small town of 8,000 population. And it is, but there's a lot of tourists here and everything is very, very close. So you see people. It's not like you're in the middle of nowhere, but the hikes do give you opportunities to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like that labyrinth walk, for example. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but we're so close to everything. So, yeah, I hope that helps, Roxana. Yeah, I hope you will come. I hope you will join us. And Michelle said, I haven't made up my mind about the extension, but I'm feeling like I should. I hope you will join us for the extension. I feel like the extension is where we have a lot more of the relaxed fun time because it's more social. We're doing a lot more of the social work. So the deep dive work is happening during the primary part of the retreat with social, but we're focusing a lot more on the deep dive work. And then the extension, we're focusing more on the social and still doing deep dive work, right? The extension becomes more social and still doing the deep dive and the clearing and the healing and the channeling and all of that, but it's a lot more social. So yeah, I hope that explains that and answers that. And yeah, I don't see any other questions here, but let's go over to the Q&A. By the way, if you're on the call, if you want to raise your hand and ask if you happen to not be on the chat part, because there's a lot of people who have called in. You can raise your hand and ask a question by pressing *2. Yeah, we're on lecture mode. So that means if you press *2 on your phone, if you're not able to, because you can ask a question through the Q&A. Let me check in the Q&A. Yeah, the Q&A had mostly, looks like, some tech questions and some, yeah, it doesn't look like there's any, will there be a replay? So I don't necessarily see any particulars about Sacred Sedona on the Q&A, but you can put it in there, or you can use, if you're on the phone, *2. I'll stay for a couple more minutes here, or on the chat. So this is the last few minutes. I can do questions. And I can let you know, too, I want to say one thing about the Arkansas retreat, which I am having that again this year, too. But we, last year on our Arkansas retreat, through our sacred ritual, the days where we were doing ritual, some of you will know this, we spiked the Schumann's resonance. So a lot of people don't know about the Schumann's resonance. The Schumann's resonance is a measurement of the frequency of Earth. That's a scientific measurement. And there are now, from the Institute of Heart Math, there probably are others, but there's an app that you can put on your phone through the Institute of Heart Math that is basically scientifically studying psychic phenomena. And I've been in some of their studies, actually. I mean, they just study lots and lots of meditators and what happens to our bodies when we meditate and how quickly we can get into heart coherence and the different brain waves and, extrasensory perception. They're basically doing scientific studies on psychic phenomena, the Institute of Heart Math. So they created an app that measures the Schumann's resonance, which is a scientific measurement of the frequency of Earth. And in our group, on our last retreat, on one of our days of a whole day of sacred rituals, someone opened the app and could see that there was a spike of the Schumann's resonance in the location where we were, in the middle of a national park in Arkansas, a very unpopulated area. And that was the highest spike of the Schumann's resonance that day. That is incredible, right? That goes to tell you the frequency that our group was able to basically hold, uplifted the entire population. Our frequency that day, our group, was the highest spiking frequency on Earth that day. That means our retreat that day raised the frequency of the entire Earth. And that's scientifically valid. And we took pictures of it and measured by the Schumann's resonance. Yeah, Michelle says, wow. Yeah. So that is like the kind of frequency vibration that we're going to be able to achieve and experience in our group here. This group is going to be much smaller too, by the way, because it's my first time doing the Sacred Sedona retreat. I'm keeping it limited. I'm not going to let it get to a large group. Our Arkansas retreat sells out and sold out. And this time I'm going to sell out this retreat, but I'm going to keep it capped so I can really work with people directly, one-on-one, and give them the individual attention that they need. Because the crystal retreat's a lot more social. It's wonderful, but it's very social, right? You can get as much one-on-one, whereas this one I'm going to really be able to really focus with people and help them. So let me head back over. I don't see any hands raised. Lots of people still on the phone, but *2, this is your last chance. And I'll go over to the Q&A. I don't see any questions there. And then on the chat. So once again, if you'd like to join us, you can head over to lorispagna.com/sacred-sedona-retreat. I would love to have you join us. It's under the live events tab. You'll see. at the website, LoriSpagna.com, Sacred Sedona Retreat. If you have any questions, now is the last few moments to ask. I would love to be of support to anyone who would like to know more or is curious more about how we work with these piezoelectric crystals, how these vortex energies help us. And I definitely wanted to give that opportunity for anyone who was ready to say yes now to join us and get that extra bonus of the 5-week Ascension support group and still be able to participate live and online. And just so you know, for those of you who are possibly still considering or unsure, prior to the live retreat, we do what's a pre-event call together. So we all get together on the webinar. I go over any and all questions with everybody, help set you up for success so you have an outstanding retreat, so you know what to do, where to go, when to show up. You know, we help people with carpooling or any questions they have about what time to arrive, where to arrive, all that stuff. So you are cared for even before the retreat happens. And of course, we also have a private Facebook group, so everybody can be connected and connecting even before we go, you know, we meet up at the retreat. So that's another wonderful support way. We provide help and support for everyone, and we get to stay connected. Maureen says, it's all crystal clear. Awesome. I'm so glad, Maureen. All right, so unless I see any other questions or comments, here's one from Maggie. Hi, lovely Lori. I'm tuning in from New Zealand. Oh, wow. Very cool. I'm unable to attend due to not being able to fly out. I know that is a bummer. I am so sorry about that. But it sounds wonderful, and Sedona is definitely on my SK list. I don't know what the FK list means, but I get the concept. Am I able to ask a question? Oh, of course. If I am connected to Melchizedek order. Okay, so blessings, Maggie. So thank you for your question, sweet Maggie. You know, the Melchizedek order, I'll tell you a little bit about Melchizedek order. The original Melchizedek goes back to, you know, ancient history. And the Melchizedek order was a group of beings who are working for humans in ancient times to assist humans to free and liberate ourselves from the old slave system. That order and that lineage was very spiritual in that they were working with ascended masters, angels, archangels, and beings of light, the ancient brotherhoods, and in the non-physical and in the physical. So they were physical and working with non-physical, right? And through time and space, they have continued their work. So it's very easy to become part of the Melchizedek order. Many of us were alive, either in male bodies or in non-physical bodies, working with the Melchizedek order at different points in time and space throughout history. And typically speaking, if we naturally gravitate toward the Melchizedek order and the Melchizedek lineage and their teachings, which have been passed down through secret, these are like ancient secrets that are now part of disclosure, right? Ancient mystery schools that are being shared now. So I know that I was one of them, and that's why I share many of the teachings, and I channel Melchizedek and the beings of the Melchizedek order. When you resonate with it, you typically are. And so I'm not necessarily directly tuning in with you, Maggie, right now, although that's certainly something we would do on the retreat, and that's something I do in the 5-week support group if somebody asks. What I can say is that typically when we feel a calling or a pull, it's usually because we are or were somehow connected in some time-space reality. But no one is excluded from the group. That is what's most important for me to say. So regardless of whether you were at some point in time and space, this Melchizedek order, the Melchizedeks have welcomed beings of the light. Any member of the light family is welcome. And they do initiations. I have lots of initiations from them on my YouTube channel. on my YouTube channel, there are lots of videos where we did initiations with and initiation is like, a lot of times they've done things like they do sacred geometries or activations. They help us activate healing in our palms and our hands and different energy centers of our bodies to assist us in anchoring more light and doing better healing for ourselves and one another. So you can even look at my YouTube channels. They won't always very specifically say that, because some of them are like hour and a half, and it's the Melchizedek order will come in. So nobody's excluded. That's what I want to say. Everyone's welcome. All that's required is a sincere desire to be of service, to be part of the light, working for the betterment of humanity, and to truly desire to assist humanity through the awakening process and the ascension journey. And so as far as I'm concerned, everybody can be connected to and part of the Melchizedek order, the Melchizedek lineage, regardless of whether you've been activated already or initiated, so to speak. Everyone's welcome. And it's all about being of the light, in service to the light, for the betterment of all, the 100% positive betterment and upliftment of all. And that is part of that mission and order. There is ideally zero harm. We can't control everything all the time. We simply don't know everybody's journey or path, but we know that we are doing our absolute best to serve and contribute to the betterment of humanity, and ideally with zero harm. And that's what that Melchizedek order is. And there are many tools we use and different forms of frequencies, light, sacred geometries. This is stuff I teach and share in all my classes and workshops and DNA activation calls, and certainly on the retreat. That's what we do. So, there's no one excluded from that. The light is inclusive and welcomes all and excludes no one. And by the way, if you're ever in communities of any kind where you feel excluded or you are excluded, I just want to say that's not of the light. Exclusion is not what the light is. Inclusion is what the light is. And Maureen made a comment, so the people were enslaved again after the help of the Melchizedek order. That sounds kind of cynical. I'm not sure if you meant to ask it that way. The Melchizedek order has been working to free people. We were never enslaved again. We have been enslaved. We've been enslaved as a human population basically since the birth of this incarnation for us. And we are working to free humanity. We are working and have been tirelessly working to free humanity. And the COVID experience was an attempt to free humanity and liberate humanity. The masks and the false. All right, now I'm getting into COVID stuff, so I don't totally want to go in this direction. But COVID was there was an agenda in there to, what's the word? Hijack the liberation of humanity. So 2020 was a liberation timeline in which all beings were liberated. And sadly, most people don't realize that they were meant to be liberated, and they got recaptured into the old paradigm of fear-based enslavement. So Melchizedek order has not given up. Oh, I see. That's what you mean by again. Maybe that's what you meant by again, Maureen, when you said that people were enslaved again. Yeah, people have been manipulated. Most people don't know. So we're still working on that. That's the Lightworker tribe, right? That's the Indigo tribe. Thanks, Maureen, for your question. Thanks for helping clarify. I guess I didn't totally understand. But yeah, you're right. And we're doing our best to help humanity at this time. And you're right, there are still suffering going on, Maureen. People are without food. You're right. And we're doing our very best to assist, to remove the suffering. And we have to honor the laws of free will and honor consent and authority. And, so this is why we form groups like this, where we get to come together and use our collective work together and the energies, the vortexes, to raise the frequency and consciousness of Earth, of humanity, and free and liberate humanity. That is what's going on planet Earth. a liberation movement. And Melchizedek order is involved in that. So, yeah, awesome questions, Maureen. Thank you. And thank you for bringing all that up. And Peggy said, thank goodness for the Melchizedek order has stood by us for so long. It's totally true. Melchizedek order is just one of the lineages. I mean, there's so many brotherhoods, sisterhoods. We're all part of the Indigo family tribes. And by the way, if you aren't familiar with the Indigo family tribes, you can go to LoriSpagna.com/free gifts/Starseed, and you can get a whole class and ebook on that, what the Indigo family tribes are doing here in the various communities. The Melchizedek order is just one of many, right? So, all right. Well, I hope this was helpful. I don't see any hand raises on the audio portion, which was star 2. And I don't see any new questions coming in. So with that, I'm going to send you over to LoriSpagna.com one more time. I'll put the link in one more time. And I hope you will join us on the Sacred Sedona Retreat. If you have questions, you certainly are welcome to head over to the website at LoriSpagna.com, and you can connect with us there if you want to, if you have any other questions. And we are going, there are already almost 50% of the spaces are taken. So only about 50% left of the spots open. Keeping it relatively small this time so that we can do a lot of personal work and that everybody gets the personal attention while still large enough to bring us all together in sacred community and make lasting, powerful, profound changes for all. So I hope I will see you there, and I would love, love, love for you all to join us to help learn how to use these crystals, work with them, work with the vortexes, and have a beautiful, amazing retreat in Sedona. Remember, if you're joining us before April 4th, your second person, if you want to bring a friend, a family member, a loved one, is half price. And if you join before we hang up today, you get to be added into the 5-week Ascension support group to join us for the remainder of that online retreat as well. So it's all at LoriSpagna.com under the live events tab. I would love, love, love for you to join us and see you there. And in the meantime, I want to thank you all for participating. I love interacting with you guys on the chat. Sarah says, thank you for this day and all you do in sacred service. The retreat seems wonderful. Much love to all. And thank you guys, all of you, for joining and participating. I'm so grateful for you. And thank you for everything you do in service to the light from all over the country. People in Florida, Mississippi, all over the planet. Ireland, wow, New Jersey, San Francisco. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to sign out for now and end the recording. I love and appreciate you so much, and I wish you all the most benevolent best. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye-bye.